Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Dukes Show.
The greed and the entitlement is astounding to me.
What more could you want from a low-budget radio program?
This is a dumpster fire.
That was just BS.
It is time to get a new perspective.
We know just what you need, and we've got just the cure. Open wide and prepare for a steaming hot cup of freedom.
I just don't fathom it.
The Michael Dukes Show, streaming live across the world.
Oh, yeah. Ho, 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 my friends. Welcome to the Michael Dukes Show, broadcasting live across the state of Alaska on this, your favorite radio station and or FM translator, and live around the world at michaeldukesshow.com. Hello, how you doing? Are you ready to go? This is it. The final Tuesday of the broadcast year for us. We are doing our thing, and we are ready to rock and roll. Today, we're going to get our final little bit of politics out of the way for the year. We're going to jump into it with the weekly top three, which is going to include some Christmas and some fun stuff, as much as it pains Brad. We're going to do that. And then we're going to go over a little bit over the governor's budget, plus some looks at revenue forecasts and some other things that, we got to know before we're coming up on the next session. So we'll get that out of the way, and we'll let that percolate. We'll let that percolate over Christmas and the new year, so that we're all ready when we come back for I'm already hearing that. I think it was Stedman or something. When somebody sent me a quote from Stedman where he said, we're not going to deal with the governor's budget. We're going to make our own kind of thing, So, the branches, that whole thing is working out real well. That branch is a government thing working out real well. All right. Anyway, so today we're going to talk with Brad Keithley in hour one, might bleed over a little bit into hour two. And then we're going to be talking with Chris Story in hour two. We're going to get his weekly life coaching uplift and positivity boost with a Christmas twist. We're going to get his holiday stuff as well. Don't forget, as of Friday, Friday's the last day of broadcast for the show for this year. We'll be on a hiatus starting on Monday, and we will be gone throughout the entire Christmas holiday. We'll be returning to the airwaves on January the 5th. January the 5th, Monday, January 5th, we'll be ready to rock and roll and go there as well. Holiday recipe contest still going on right now over at facebook.com/Michael Dukes Show. If you want to go over there, I meant to count how many recipes were up on it, because I said yesterday, if we get 10 recipes up there that aren't Terry's or mine, my wife's or mine, then I would go ahead and I would let the cat out of the bag with my grandmother's secret bread pudding recipe. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Whoa, look at that. Whoa. I'm scrolling. All right. So there's more than 10. So I'll be putting Grandma Faye's bread pudding up there as well. So just for your viewing, this is how we share. Sharing is caring. All right. Don't listen to what great-great-grandma said about never give this recipe to anyone because it's a family secret. Don't you want people to have, why do you hate joy? Right? Come on, Grandma. We love you, but you can't take that to the grave with you, right? We're going to share that far and wide. All right. Merry Christmas, Grandma. Anyway, let's get to it, shall we? Shall we just get to it here and get ready to rock and roll? Brad Keithley, Alaskans for Sustainable Budgets, has been beating us all year long, and this is just the new opportunity to share the love. It's all about love and kindness and caring and compassion. Hello, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing great, Michael. Thank you. It's good though for you to use the Christmas list as a way of furthering economics to show that incentives work.
Hey,
If you get 10, you get a reward, and you've gotten your 10. So
it's a meritocracy, right? I mean, that's what we believe in. If you do your work, you get rewarded. That's how it works around here. How's the Christmas going so far, Brad? You feeling good? I see you haven't even decorated yet. Look at me. I decorated. What's going on?
well, I don't use my studio as much as you do. And so yeah, maybe I'm a little bit behind, and I doubt I will get this decorated. But Christmas is going good. It took me 4 days to get back from Alaska to get to Illinois to spend Christmas, my mother's birthday and Christmas with her. But I made it and survived, and so I'm once I landed, I'm in the Christmas spirit.
All right, good. All right, well, we're ready to go then. Let's dig into it. The weekly top 3. It all begins with a simple message of what does the revenue forecast tell us about petroleum reserves and everything else. Let's get started, Brad.
Well, there's not much in the governor's in the Department of Revenue's 10-year forecast to talk about. All of the detail that usually go into a strong analysis of what's going on with the state revenues wasn't included in the Friday release. They issued something like 3 pages of summary tables, so it's not the detail work on some of this stuff will come after the first of the year for the show at least. But there is a couple of things that you can take from the revenue forecast that are important. And it looks at petroleum revenue. Now, they don't have the summary forecasts, don't have royalties and production taxes and property taxes and corporate income taxes divided into the subsets. So you can't look in and see it, look under the hood and see what's causing these things to go around. But you can get some sense of what's going on with petroleum revenues. And the upshot of looking at petroleum revenues is the same as we've talked about all year. Petroleum volumes, oil volumes are going up. State revenues from oil are going down. And we've got a couple of charts that show that. Very good. Yeah, we're even on the same wavelength here. So this first chart shows by year both the oil volumes, the projection of oil volumes contained in the revenue forecast, and then that's the upper line, and then the projection of petroleum revenues, overall oil revenues, production taxes, royalties, corporate income taxes, and property taxes combined. And you can show that, as we've talked about on the show throughout the year, there's this huge divide between what's going on with production volumes and what's going on with revenues to the state. Production volumes are escalating. I think this year's forecast shows an increase in excess of 30% between the base year, which is now FY25, and the farthest projection year, which is FY36, shows an increase of something like 30% in petroleum volumes, but shows revenues from those petroleum volumes as down through 9 of the 10 years, below the 2025 base year, a negative number from using the FY 2025 as the base, and then finally barely getting ahead, by FY 36. So it shows as production volumes are increasing, revenues from those production volumes, revenues from oil, total revenues from oil are in steep decline, and then sort of creep back up, but only get to the same place they were in FY25 on a nominal basis, nominal dollars, by FY 36. The line below the red line is the nominal dollars, petroleum revenue. The line below that red line, the darker blue line, is real dollars, inflation adjusted dollars, so dollars after inflation. and it shows that what's really going on from FY26 forward is that petroleum revenues are sort of rising with inflation. But when you put it in terms of real dollars, when you take out the inflation effect on those revenues, real dollars from petroleum, from oil, are staying flat throughout the entire period. They never get back to the level of FY25. And so the reason that I've done this is those people who say, "Oh, oil's just a temporary, this oil price decline, or this oil revenue decline is a temporary thing. It's going to come back. Don't worry about it. We're gonna grow with these production volumes, and we'll be fine." We don't. We take a deep dive. We've taken a deep dive in FY25 over FY24. We've shown that before on the show. We take another deep dive in FY26 over FY25, and we stay down. We grow only with inflation. So to the extent anybody's thinking, "Oh, we can justify additional spending on the basis that oil is going to come back, these oil production volumes are going to produce additional revenues," it isn't going to happen. I mean, it just shows that we're staying in decline.
This looks like another K chart, Brad. I mean, it's a K chart where they're getting all the revenue and the production and the monies, and we're taking it in the keister on this on the lower side.
Yep. The second chart is in response to what some people, to defense some people make. Some people say, "Oh, well, the reason oil revenues are declined, state oil revenues are in decline, is because oil prices are in decline." There's a way of adjusting for that to take out the effect of oil price in the analysis, and that is to do petroleum revenue, state petroleum revenues, as a percent of gross revenues. So whatever the oil companies are getting, whatever the oil volumes are attracting in terms of revenues, as prices go up or prices go down, that's sort of the baseline. And the calculation then is, what is the state getting as a share of that overall gross revenues? And that's what this analysis does. And it shows that state production taxes, or overall state revenues, petroleum revenues, corporate taxes, production taxes, royalties, and property taxes, that the states, it shows it as a percent of the gross revenues that the oil companies are receiving for total production. And it shows that's in decline. We're at 15%. We were higher in FY24, but starting at the new base year of FY25, we're at 15%. The state's getting 15% of gross revenues in terms of the state's share of petroleum revenues. That goes down to 13% in 26, goes down to 12% in 27, goes down to 11% in 31, goes down to 10% by 34, and sort of comes back up to 11%, 11-ish percent by FY36, all compared to the base period, FY25 of 15%. So what this is showing, it's showing that the state's share, regardless of what oil price is, it's showing that the state's share of petroleum, of the gross revenues being received by the oil companies, is going down. Now, part of this is driven by the fact that we're seeing an increasing amount of oil production coming from federal lands where the state doesn't get royalties. And so part of this reduction is as a result of that shift from state lands and state royalties to federal lands and federal royalties. But that's only part of this. What's really going on, what these numbers really show, is that, again, the state's tax approach is resulting in a deteriorating share, even as production volumes climb by 30% over the period, 30+%
Right.
over the period. The state share, in terms the way the state's tax system is working, the state share is in significant decline. I mean, from 15 to 10% is a third. We drop a third of the state share, starting at an already low number of FY25. We drop a third of the state's share during this period. So
Yeah.
These numbers continue to show that the production tax system, that the tax system is causing us to lose money, not gain money, as production volumes go up.
And what's interesting here is the delta on this is a 60% because the production goes up 30%. On our gross, we go down 30%. So we've got a 60 percentage delta in the middle there. That's pretty significant. Again, producing more oil, pumping more oil out of the state, a finite resource, and receiving less money, a significant amount of less money. And we're wondering why is everybody so happy about this? Well, great production, great. But when you don't make any money on it, not so. If you were an oil well owner in, I don't know, Texas, Oklahoma, some state where you could own the oil land, you would not be happy about them pumping out your finite resource and you getting actually less money on it. You would be incensed. You might ask them to stop, right, at some point. And now the president, of course, has been talking about wanting to push oil prices down even further, which again does not bode well for you. They're going to try and make it up in volume this is a tough deal.
Yeah, well, this is a very important chart. What this is showing is that the promise of 2013, the promise of SB 21, which is provide us incentives, will increase production, and you, Alaskans, will benefit from that increased production in terms of increased revenue. Showing the promise of SB 21 is not working in its second decade, that something has gone wrong with SB 21 in its second decade. And those people who refuse to lift up the lid and start looking at what has gone wrong are part of the problem. They're part of creating these deficits that the state's running. So this chart shows that regardless of oil price, however much you want to argue about oil price, regardless of oil price, the state's share of petroleum revenue is going down significantly over the next 10 years as production volumes increase.
Brad Keithley, Alaskans for Sustainable Budgets, the weekly top 3. We're going to continue here in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. It's the holiday edition, final Tuesday of the broadcast year. We're going to continue with number 2 here in just a moment. The Michael Dukes Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Back with more right after this.
If you missed the show, you can listen to it on your time with Dukes On Demand. Oh, and it's free. Like America used to be. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay, Brad Keithley, our guest, the weekly top 3. Kim says, the legislature and the NEA don't care that petroleum revenues are in decline. Guessing they're going to ask for $1,200 to $1,500 BSA increase, even though the state is broke. We're already seeing that, right, Brad? We're already seeing that was in that Fairbanks, the meeting between the Fairbanks North Starborough Assembly and the legislators, where the legislators, all of them, progressives, conservatives, were all saying, hey, fiscal crisis coming. And the assembly was like, we don't care. We need more money. That's already in the works, right?
Yep. Well, yeah, it's not just the NEA. It is the NEA, but it's not just the NEA. We have a bunch of people screaming about the capital budget and the stability that the governor's trying to bring to the capital budget, and people screaming that they want more money spent through the capital budget. Contractors and others screaming they want to spend more money through the capital budget. We're going to hear the same thing, no doubt, from the municipalities with respect to community funding, and we're going to hear it from other sources. So it's going to be, and Kim's exactly right about this. They don't really care about oil taxes. They'll claim that they care about oil taxes, but as long as they still have PFDs to cut, or they still have the CBR, the little bit that's left in the CBR to drain, they don't really care about the funding source. They just care about having some funding source to be able to increase the spend. And so it's you would think that you would get people to be concerned about the fact our oil tax system is now broke. You would think you would get people to focus on that, but the people that should be focusing on that are focused instead on grabbing somebody else's money, grabbing the PFD from middle and lower income Alaska families, or grabbing the CBR from future Alaskan generations. I mean, they don't care about where the money comes from. They just want the money. And she's right about that.
Frank, don't blame the messenger, Frank. Frank says the holiday edition with the report we just received is the Scrooge on? Is Brad the Scrooge? I mean, you can't kill the messenger on this. I mean, this is just the truth as we see it, the truth laid bare. We got about 2 minutes here, Brad. I don't know if you want to take some time during when we're back on the radio or not, but the governor's budget, I mean, again, delivering another budget that's only balanced through savings, which I don't think fulfills the letter of the spirit of the constitutional mandate. You can't just say, oh, we've got money in savings, so I'm going to spend more than we take in revenue and call it balanced. That just doesn't seem right.
Yeah, it's a statutory mandate, and so everybody just ignores the statutes anymore. Yes, the governor's supposed to submit a budget that balances on between revenues, but no governor has done that since 2013, and no legislature has done that since 2013. We got into this great debate. People got into this great debate on Facebook, claiming that Dunleavy had set some new low bar by using savings to plug in and say he had a balanced budget, and claiming that it was a balanced budget. People were saying, it's not balanced, you're using savings. Crap. That's what the legislature's done continuously since 2013. Right. Dunleavy isn't setting a low bar. He's following the low bar set by the Parnell administration, then the Walker administration, and now his prior 7 years. It's one continuous bar from that entire period forward. No one's tried to balance the budget.
Yeah, no, it's madness. It really is. It's madness at this point. All right, we're going to jump into number 2 here in just a moment. We're going to talk about what the revenue forecast or what the 10-year forecast tells us now. We're going to get into it. The Michael Dukes Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. And then Brad is going to, are you sticking with us through you doing your Christmas top 3 into the next hour, or are we going to do?
Well, I'm planning on doing that in the third segment, but if you drag me into the next hour, I won't scream, but I'm planning on doing it in the third segment.
Okay. All right. I'm not trying to crimp your jam here. Here we go. The Michael Dukes Show, Common Sense Radio.
The Michael Dukes Show. Not your daddy. Wait, sorry. Not your daddy? Ooh, not your daddy's talk radio. Whew. I was scared for a second. Thought we were going down. Here's Michael Dukes and the show.
Okay, continuing now, the weekly top 3, number 2. What the OMB's 10-year forecast tells us about our fiscal options. They seem to be few and far between at this point. Brad Keithley, Alaskans for Sustainable Budgets. Come on, Brad, leave me with some good news at the end of this year. What?
It's like rolling the dice, right? Come on, 7 or 11.
Yeah, but the dice are loaded. That's the problem. They don't belong to me. They belong to the dealer, and they're totally loaded, and I'm going to roll it, and I keep hoping. What does the OMB 10-year forecast tell us, Brad? I brace yourself, Gertrude. Here it comes.
Well, the 10-year forecast is a fantasy in a way. I mean, what the 10-year forecast is supposed to be is the use of funds over the 10 years, the spending levels over the 10 years, and then the revenue levels over the 10 years. And those two numbers are actually supposed to be the same. They're actually supposed to lay on top of each other. Revenues are supposed to equal spending. The governor's the latest 10-year forecast is slightly better, I guess, than last year's 10-year forecast. in the sense that he just doesn't give up and say, I'm not going to try to get revenues. We're just going to show this red line, this deficit line, all the way out. This year, he has a placeholder put in for what he calls new revenues, which shouldn't be new revenues. It should be replacement revenues, replacement of PFD cuts. But he has this placeholder put in that instead of showing deficits of $1 billion plus throughout the 10-year period, he's showing these revenue, these additional new, yet to be defined replacement revenues of $1 billion plus throughout the year. But I took a look at the numbers and see something in them that I think is good news. But then some would say I have a perverted sense of what is good in these things. But I saw some good news in here. All right, so this chart is the red line is the spending line that's included in the governor's 10-year forecast. Now, that spending line escalates at less than inflation. So the governor is already including some spending cuts. It escalates at about 1.9% compared to assumed inflation of about 2.5%. So the governor is including some spending cuts already in the red line, even though it's going up on a real basis. If I did this on a real basis, inflation adjusted basis, the line would be stabilized and going slightly down over the period. But on a nominal basis, it's going up. And then I've got two blue lines. The lower blue line is the governor's projection of revenues from traditional sources, but not including his phantom new revenues. It's the projection of revenues from traditional sources plus the portion of the POMV draw remaining after the statutory PFD. It is the revenues of the traditional revenues plus the remaining portion of the POMV draw at the statutory PFD. So it's what he's really including for revenues against that spending line. And the deficits are huge. I mean, these are the deficits that show up in the 10-year plan. And the deficits that show up from the lower blue line are the numbers at the top of the bars at the bottom. So $1.5 billion in 2027, going up to $1.9 billion in FY30, coming back down a little bit and ending the period in FY26 at 1.578 or $1.6 billion.
2036, right?
Right, 2023. I'm sorry. Those are the deficit numbers that the governor is showing at the statutory PFD. So I played with it a little bit, and I said, okay, instead of a statutory PFD, let's assume POMV 50/50, which I think is a fair assumption of a landing point for a comprehensive fiscal plan. It's the number included in the 2021 Legislative Fiscal Policy Working Group comprehensive fiscal plan. So let's assume POMV 50/50, and that cuts the deficit surprisingly. And this will show you a little bit how the statutory PFD is a little bit distorted, but that cuts the deficit by about $500 million on average over the period. The resulting deficit is the solid red bar, the solid as opposed to the light colored red, the solid red bar at the bottom. And it shows instead of a deficit of $1.5 billion, $1.53 billion in FY27, it shows a deficit of $1.16 billion. That's the deficit if you assume the PFDs at POMV 50/50. And then it goes up to $1.2 billion in FY30, but then by FY36 comes down to $1 billion, $1.007 billion. So POMV 50/50, some people don't think of it as a big step, but it's actually a huge step in terms of helping to solve the deficit. It's helping to resolve the state's fiscal situation. And as I say, it's a step that was included in the 2021 Legislative Fiscal Policy Working Group's recommendations. If you look at FY36, just at the far end of the bar, just to sort of see how this projected plays out at the end, what you've got is some spending cuts in real terms, in terms of holding the growth of government at less than inflation, some spending cuts in real terms by FY36, and then you've got and then reducing the deficit by going to POMV 50/50 reduces that remaining deficit by a third. It reduces it from $1.578 billion to $1 billion. So you got $500 million. You need roughly $1.5 billion by FY36 to get the budget truly in balance. You got a third of it by going from statutory PFD to POMV 50/50. As we've talked on the show, another $500 million of that, half of the remaining, would be from oil tax reform. Could be from oil tax reform. Getting the state back where SB 21 originally put it in terms of share of gross revenues, which really ought to be the standard that we're looking to in terms of how we're judging the success of an oil tax structure. And so another $500 million from oil tax reform, maybe a little bit more if you close the subchapter S corporate loophole, the corporate S loophole, maybe a little bit more than 500 million, but about $500 million, let's say, from oil tax reform. So now you've got just a third. You got $500 million remaining. And if you close that through broad-based taxes, that's about 1.25% of adjusted gross income, projected adjusted gross income over the period. Not huge. I mean, it's not nothing, but it's not these huge tax numbers that some people bandy about. The huge tax numbers that some people bandy about are to close the entire deficit through personal taxes. But if you close a third of it, if you close 500 million of it through POMV 50/50, and you close 500 million of it through oil tax reform, you've only got about 1% left, percent of adjusted gross income, Alaska adjusted gross income, including non-residents. You've only got about 1% left to close the remaining loophole. So I think the good news out of the year is this is within our grasp. The fiscal. Don't groan. This is good news.
No. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Go ahead. I'll have my say at the end because. Go ahead.
The good news is that the resolution of our fiscal situation is within our grasp. It's only about a third. It's a third going from the statutory PFD to POMV 50/50, not from looking at the intent of Governor Hammond, the original intent of Governor Hammond, not a big step going from the statutory PFD to POMV 50/50. About a third of it from restructuring oil taxes or redirecting oil taxes back to the original intent of SB 21 in terms of the share, the gross revenue share that the state would get out of production, sort of following the production up and getting the state share out of that, about $500 million. And then $500 million remaining to be closed through other means. And people can come up with, maybe we can tariff things, but people can come up with other ways to close that remaining $500 million. But plus or minus, it's going to have an impact of about 1.25% on Alaska adjusted gross income, and I think that's a good thing. The reason I think it's a good thing is to put that at the margin as the marginal source of revenue. Is it gives all Alaskans a reason to put the brakes on spending. Right now, when we use PFD cuts as a marginal source of revenue, non-residents, the oil companies, the top 20% don't have any reason to push back on spending because they don't pay any share of it.
Right.
But if you spread the burden, and 1.25% is a good way to do it. If you spread the burden evenly across all Alaska families, they see that if they don't put the brakes on spending, that 1.25% could go to 1.5%, could go to 2%, and keep on going up. And so that creates an incentive, to go back to the beginning of the show, that creates an incentive for them to put the brakes on spending. An incentive we don't have now.
Right.
Incentives we don't have now to put the brakes on spending. So I think at the end of the year, I think this is good news in terms of we can see a path to get to a resolution of the fiscal situation.
I love your optimism. This is why I was groaning. Okay, so here's the first thing. This whole 10-year forecast, they're all based on super rosy assumptions, right? They're based on basically flat spending, and as you said, the governor even put in some cuts in there, which I think That's optimistic to say the least. The second thing is you've put in this 50-50 POMV, which I think is great, and it shows that we could meet them in the middle, so to speak. The problem is they don't want to meet us in the middle. They want to take all of the PFD, and they're not interested in giving us back any of our money. That's the problem. I mean, I agree. This plan could work. The thing is, do you think, final thoughts in this segment, do you think there is the political will for them to give us back a 50-50 POMV and not just take all the money because it's the easiest route?
Yes, I do, because it's Christmas, first of all. And secondly, I do because it assumes one thing. It assumes people begin to understand that PFD cuts are just a tax on middle and lower income Alaska families. And we want to limit the tax on middle and lower income Alaska families. We want to even out the tax burden in a way that impacts the top 20% non-residents and the oil companies as well. We want a broad-based solution to this. We just don't want a solution that goes deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into the pockets of middle and lower income Alaska families. I think there are some legislators who realize that. I think there are some legislators that would pursue that. We don't have a governor, I think, that even understands it. But assuming 2026, we have an election cycle that has that understanding and deepens that understanding, and we have a governor at the end of it that does have that understanding. Yeah, I think it's doable. So it takes some assumptions, takes some rosiness, but yeah, I think it's achievable.
It's a Christmas miracle, Brad Keithley. He's more positive than I am on this one. All right. Thanks for that, Brad. We're going to get into something a little bit more pleasant here in the next segment. Brad Keithley, Alaskans for Sustainable Budgets. We're going to be back right after this.
We're broadcasting live through a series of tubes,
allowing all of these entities to provide streaming stuff going on the internet.
Well, it's kind of hard to explain. Sorry. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
How did I get to be the Grinch in this whole deal? How did I get? I mean, I just look at these numbers, and I mean, you're right. We might be coming to the point in the end of the road where they're just like, okay, we have to do something, and maybe that's a viable option. But the more and more they talk about combining these funds and doing some other things, I just see, all I see is avoidance. That's what I see, Brad. I just see avoidance from one side to the other, right? I mean, that's just kind of the reaction at this point.
You see avoidance driven by the top 20% non-resident industries in the oil industry. The avoidance works in their benefit. I mean, the more and more you can take out of PFD cuts, the more and more you can open yet another door into additional free funds, which is what the consolidation of the two accounts would do by opening a back door into the permanent fund. The more you can do that, the more they benefit, because they don't have to pay anything for the costs of government. And frankly, the result of that is going to be government's going to continue to grow and grow and grow, because the donor class, the non-resident industries, and the oil companies, which are major in the state, and the oil companies, which are even more major in the state, will all continue to be ambivalent about additional spending because they don't have to pay for it. And so we're going to continue going in the wrong direction. Increased spending because people aren't pushing back, because the people who can affect it aren't pushing back, and decreased revenue for middle and lower income Alaska families. And so non-action works in their favor, and they encourage it. They come up with rationalizations for it. Oh my God, the earnings reserve is in danger. I mean, they come up with these dark, conspiracy theories about why it's important to continue to open these doors. But frankly, at the end of the day, all they're doing is trying to keep the door open so they don't have to pay. They don't have to pay any share of the cost of government. They can continue to shove it off on somebody else.
Right.
In the case of PFD cuts. So yeah, I mean, maybe that continues. But I think there are legislators out there. Maybe they're not strong in number, but I think there are legislators out there that understand this is all an effort to keep Alaska going at the benefit of the top 20% non-residents and the oil companies. It's not to keep Alaska going at the benefit of Alaskans, the 80% of Alaska families that are in the middle and lower income brackets. It's to keep the free ride going for those in the top 20% in the non-resident industries and the oil companies. And I think there are legislators that see that. And I think during the 26 campaign, I hope we see people raising that issue, and I hope we see people pursuing that issue. And I hope we elect people that when we get to the next legislature want to do something about that issue.
Terry says, Brad is trying to give us a cheerful report. Go, Brad. That's right. Go, Brad. I end up being the grudge. I hope you're right, Brad. I really do. I just, I'm a student of history, and from what I'm seeing right now, politicians, they never learn until the wheels come off the bus, and then they're shocked, I tell you, that this is where we ended up at. I mean, that was Lyman Hoffman, which was just hysterical. Somebody sent me a seniority report the other day, a seniority report in the legislature. Lyman Hoffman has been there longer than my marriage, right? 38 years. He's been there longer than some people that I know have been alive. And all of a sudden he's shocked, I tell you, that there's a deficit. Where did this come from? I mean, it's just, it's I can only hope. I can hope at this point, Brad. I'm trying to believe that it's a Christmas miracle. I guess we'll see.
Michael, the thing that encourages me is it's simple. A third. I mean, the numbers, assuming that you would have Dunleavy's spending curve, assuming that he holds that he and subsequent legislator or he and subsequent governors actually hold the deficit or spending it at inflation. Assuming that, it's a third. It's a third POMV, 50-50. It's a third getting oil taxes back to where we were told in 2013. And it's a third, a little bit of a share, 1.5%, 1.25% of adjusted gross income from Alaskans themselves to pay for their own government. Shocking, I tell you. But a little bit from Alaskans to pay for it itself, turning that into the pushback that people will then push back on spending. It's doable. And it's a third. I think it's that simple. When you look at the 10-year forecast and you look at the numbers and you take it out, it's that simple. And hopefully that simplicity will resonate with people.
I mean, I don't know if anybody's watching you. I mean, because a third sounds pretty good. But again, that's assuming that they want to not just consume all the revenue in the room, and they actually want to give us back a portion of the PFD that is ours to begin with. But we'll see. We'll keep the positivity rolling here. Brad Keithley, Alaska's 4 sustainable budgets, the weekly top 3 summates with a Christmas miracle. It's a Christmas time, number 3 of this Christmas top 3. We're going to get back into it here. We're about 8-9 seconds out. Please like it, share, like it, follow, subscribe, ring the bell, do all the YouTube stuff. Here we go. All right. The weekly top 3, the final weekly top 3 for the year concludes, and Brad's put on his Santa hat because he's trying to get in the spirit. I think every time I ask him to do this, he just gets terrified. He's like, "Whoa." Talking about numbers and all the politics and that stuff, that's easy for Brad. Talking about Christmas, man. So, Brad, the weekly top 3, your number 3 for the weekly top 3 is Christmas memories and Christmas stuff. And yeah, and I'll admit it, you are the Christmassy guy today. I've been more of a Grinch than you have. So ho ho ho. What's number 3 of the weekly top 3 here?
Well, this year I decided to do a top 3 of Christmas, Christmas memories or Christmas future, or just Christmassy stuff that I've learned over my period of time here around on the earth. And so I thought that would be my top three this year.
Nice.
Or that would be my Christmas segment this year.
Nice.
Ho ho ho.
Ho, ho, ho. All right.
So number one is family. What I've learned over the course of my years, and I didn't learn it until later in life, I got to admit, is family is important. You know that. Others certainly know that on the show. It's been something that has sort of caught up with me over the years. There have been Christmases that I didn't come back to Illinois to see my family, to see my mother, or when he was alive. My father, there were years when, I was working on something that was way too important to spend the time to come back to see them. And I've learned over the years that's the wrong way to look at it. Family always ought to come first, certainly at the holiday season. And visiting and talking and reliving the good memories, and talking about things that are family oriented is probably the most important thing that I can do, certainly for me at Christmas, and something that I've learned over the course of the years. And it's been something that, as I say, it's been hard to learn, because when you're going through your career, there's always some other deal to work on, or some other project, or some other trial, or some other advice to be given. And it's December 25th. So what about that? I mean, but as I've gotten older, the more I've realized that it really should be all about family. The holiday season, there should be a season that's all about family, and this is the best one to do it in.
I remember the story or the axiom that went on that said, when you're laying in your deathbed, are you going to think about that X? You're going to think about that deal you closed, or that skyscraper you built, or that one or thing, or are you going to think about the moments with your kids, your mom, your dad, and that's it. Family is everything, and that's a great thing, and that is the cornerstone to me of the holidays, is being around my family and doing all that kind of stuff. So I'm with you on that.
Yeah, the federal government used to get in the way. I mean, we used to have these tax codes, particularly in the oil industry, that would change at the end of the year, and so you'd have to get a deal closed by the end of the year. I remember one deal in particular. You'd have to get closed by the end of the year in order to qualify for the favorable tax treatment. And I remember, being in an office on December 25th, working away on getting this deal closed, doing the documentation, doing the negotiation around the purchase agreement to get the deal closed. And so the federal government got in the way. I'll blame the federal government for a lot of years on that, because it was end of year driven. And I was an oil and gas guy, and by gosh, we were going to get this deal done. So but the older I've gotten, the more I should have realized back then that, there's somebody else that'll do this deal. I need to get home and be with family.
Life's too short for that. So that's number one. What's number two of your Christmas top three?
Best presents. I was thinking back through the best presents I've given, or the best presents I've received over the years. And it's the gift of travel. I remember one Christmas in particular. I'd never been, I was living in Dallas. I'd never been a big Santa Fe guy. I'd never gone to Santa Fe much. But the present was a trip to Santa Fe in January for New Year's, actually. And that was like the best present ever. I mean, just opened my eyes to so many things. Santa Fe is great in terms of art, Southwestern art, in terms of various performances, in terms of food, and all sorts of different things. And that trip opened my eyes to new areas. I mean, I was a really green eye shade guy, or green, eye shades bent down over my desk guy, and sort of looking up and saying, oh, wow, there's other stuff to do in the world. And since, I've tried to do a major trip a year to Ireland, or to Scotland, or to Canada, or to, some years, all of those places. But it was the gift of travel. It was the gift of looking up and getting out of yourself and going someplace else. And that could be as little, I mean, in Alaska, or in Anchorage, I have done it over the years by going up to Denali, or going to Fairbanks, or going down to Homer to spend a substantial period of time and see life in a different way from a different place. And so I've come to value, and in terms of gifts, I've come to value giving travel as a gift. That doesn't have to be long travel, doesn't have to be, extensive, expensive travel. Just the gift of travel and getting yourself out of yourself and seeing things from a different perspective, I think has been the best Christmas gifts I've given and received as I look back over the last year.
And we love to live vicariously through your trips to music festivals and distilleries and wineries and all the different places around the world. And that's kind of cool. Travel is a big thing for many people. Most people don't move beyond their, 60 or 70 miles beyond their hometown where they're born. So a little bit of travel is eye-opening. Definitely a good one. That leaves us down to number 3 of the Christmas top 3. What's your third thing that you've learned on Christmas?
Go into the new year with a sense of optimism. Go into the new year, don't be unrealistic about what you go into the new year with, but go in, sort of sit down and recast everything in a sense of positive, in a sense of, if we do this, we can accomplish this and we'll achieve this. And recast everything in your mind at the beginning of the year in a sense of optimism, in a sense of things to accomplish as opposed to things to defend against. I mean, I get beat down more than anybody else. I get beat down during the course of the year into, just sort of hunkering down and trying to defend all of the various things that are going on out there. But to me, over the years, the thing I've learned is to sort of use this period to recharge and come back with a sense of optimism at the beginning of the year, at the beginning of going into the new year, and hold that as long as you can. I remember when I was younger, I used to come back from vacations and go into my office and shut the door. Yes, I was back from vacation. Yes, I was working, but I just didn't want to allow the outside world in yet. I wanted to hold that experience from being on vacation. Same thing's true of coming out of the first of the year with a sense of optimism. I want to hold on to that for as long as I can. I may not hold it, much past the first top 3 of next year, but I want to hold on and remind me of this occasionally when I slip off the deep end. But I want to hold on to that sense of optimism as long as I can. But in any event, come out of the holidays with a sense of optimism going forward.
That's why I take off the end of the year, because again, I'm kind of that beat down, mangy cur at the end of the year kind of thing. And I need that. And that's a good thing. That's where we got to be. All right, Brad Keithley, Merry Christmas, my friend. Thank you.
Ho, ho.
Ho, ho, ho. Thank you for being part of it. As always, we'll see you in the new year. Folks, we got more coming up. Hour 2 is dead ahead. The Michael Duke Show, Common Sense, Liberty Based, Free Thinking Radio. All right, Brad. Like I said, you were definitely a little bit more positive than I was as well. I guess I'm just getting a little cynical in my old age, and by the end of the year, I'm just totally and that's why I don't, quite honestly, I know there's all this kind of stuff that went on and the shootings and the Australia and all, and I'm just like, what can we do about it? Nothing. Let's talk about something fun. Let's remember. And that's where we live, is in that nostalgic, remember the good times, like you were saying with the family, talking about the good times and doing that kind of thing and reliving those. And that's what makes life worth living, I think, in the long run. And being able to spend time with your family, to go travel, to do those things, and then to try and create that sense of optimism and positivity at the end of the year I think that's all laudable. I think it's all good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I used to treat the holidays as just another work day, and that was wrong. That was seriously wrong. I mean, it may have helped my career, but it was seriously wrong to do that. So, one of the things as you sit there and you look back on it, and my son doesn't listen to me anymore than I listen to my parents at this point in time. But as you look back on it, you go, I should have handled it this way. But now, you have a chance to handle it this way as you get older and you learn about these things, you have a chance to handle it that way. So I decided to handle them that way.
Yeah, because again, as you're laying on your deathbed, nobody's going to think back at that final deal you closed at Christmas. They'll remember the uncle that spilled his drink at the Christmas table and everybody laughed, or the great things that happened, or the great trips that you took, or just those gifts. That's the important part, because those are the memories. Are all the gifts, are the best Christmas gifts that you can get and give, is the memories and the good times and everything else as well. Somebody just said, put your hat on too, MD. I don't have a hat. I need a hat. I used to have one, except mine was velvety green, which is my favorite Christmas color, is the green. I'm not a red guy so much as the green guy. But yeah, I don't have a hat, unfortunately, anymore. I don't know where it went. But Brad, final thoughts for the year, for the coming year. Give us that positivity that we were talking about, that optimism. Is this the year that they figured out that there is a problem? Is this the year that they address it and actually come up with a plan? What do you think?
Well, I was reminded as I was traveling this weekend and dealing with my third snowstorm that was preventing me getting me where I wanted to go, that one of my favorite musicals is Annie, and one of the favorite songs is "The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow." So, I'm now trying to start every day remembering that musical and remembering those songs. And life's not going to change that much between the two. If I'm dour and downcast, life's not going to be any different than if I'm upcast and optimistic. So as I come into the holiday season, I'm building up that optimism, and I hope it lasts me through the entire year until we're talking about it again this time next year.
All right. Well, everybody is wishing Brad a Merry Christmas in the chat room, and have a good Illinois Christmas. I don't know how an Illinois Christmas, makes the difference, but it should be fun. And I hope you and your mom have a great Christmas night. She's 90. What? She's 90.
Today's her birthday.
Today is her birthday.
Today is her birthday, and she's turned 93 today.
93. Well, tell her that we here on the show wish her a very happy birthday.
She watches the show, Michael, so she's listening to you now.
Mother Keithley, thank you for bringing Brad into the world and allowing him to come over here and share his wisdom and with us. And not always joy, but it's not not all news is good news, and so sometimes we just have to deal with it. And we give Brad a hard time about the doom and gloom Tuesdays, but by golly, this is the kind of realness that we need on the show. It's why we've done it for 10 years, quite honestly. And I just wish more people who were in power, more people who were making decisions, were listening to what Brad and I have been talking about for 10 years, because Brad and I have predicted everything that has happened over that. I mean, right, Brad? I mean, the first thing we talked about in 2014, 2013 was, hey, if we don't get the spending on, and if we spend more than 3.9 billion at that point, we're going to be in trouble. And that's where we started. And it's just continually gone from there. We've been harping about this, and maybe one day people will actually listen to us, Brad. I don't know.
Oh, I think they're listening. I mean, I get feedback that people are listening. They don't want to believe us, A, and B, it goes against their interests, so they just say they don't believe us. But people are listening.
Well, I hope they are, and maybe all we have to do is get enough regular people who are out there, who are out there just in the everyday people, get them motivated and listening, and maybe we'll get through it. All right, 1 minute, Brad. Final Christmas wishes for everybody. What you got here before we go?
Oh, I wish everybody a great Christmas. I hope you're with family, and I hope that you've traveled safe to be with family if you don't live with them. And I hope that you have a sense of optimism when we come out of the end of the year. I hope that we hit next year on the ground running. We got a lot of stuff to do, a lot of stuff ahead of us, but I hope we're optimistic that we can handle it. A third will get us there.
It's the rule of three. We use that on Fire on Friday all the time, but it's the new rule of three for the fiscal situation in Alaska. All right, Brad, thanks for being such a good sport. Thank you for coming on board. I wish you a Merry Christmas. Tell your mom I wish her a Merry Christmas as well, and happy birthday. So thank you, Brad.
Michael. Merry Christmas to you as well.
All right. Thank you so much. It's always good to talk with you. All right, folks. That's it for hour one. Hour two is up next. We're going to continue the Michael Duke Show.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Duke Show.
The greed and the entitlement is astounding to me.
What more could you want from a low-budget radio program?
This is a dumpster fire.
That was just BS.
It is time to get a new perspective.
We know just what you need, and we've got just the cure. Open wide and prepare for a steaming hot cup of freedom.
I just don't fathom it.
The Michael Dukes Show, streaming live across the world.
Live around the world on the interwebs at michaeldukeshow.com and across the state of Alaska on this, your favorite radio station and or FM translator. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the program, hour two of this Tuesday edition of the show. It was a great segment with Brad. That final Christmas segment was just chef's kiss. Perfect for the year, and it was a great thing. And if Brad left us with anything, it is that we need to take this time of year, we need to take this holiday season, and we need to take it to heart and come back next year with a sense of optimism, and I love it. It's great stuff. I hope you are ready for a great holiday season. I'll be honest with you. I have had the hardest time. It's only Tuesday, but I have had the hardest time this week getting into the swing of work and doing things. And I keep getting distracted. I'm already ready to be on vacation and to just kind of relax and let the brain strain stop for a little bit. You know what I mean? I'm already there, but I think what Brad laid out there is as his top three, quite honestly, should be most of our top threes, especially number one, which is family. Brad was lamenting the fact that it took him a long time to learn this, that how important family was, and he was, how he sacrificed some years to do the job, so to speak, and to close the deal on Christmas Day, which is it reminds me of that scene from the movie Elf, where James Caan is the dad, and he's got to meet on Christmas Eve with the board and all that kind of stuff. And I've never understood that, because I'm a small town guy, right? That's who I am. And luckily I have been in industries where the Christmas season is not, it's not make or break. It's not make or break. I don't have an end of the year quota that I have to hit, right? When I worked in the automotive and the industrial parts industry, it's not like anybody was really wanting to talk to us there at the end of the year. When I got into radio and started to do sales and advertising and things like that, no business owner wants to talk to you about advertising between Christmas and New Year's, right? That's just it's just nothing going. So I lucked out, and I was able to, or I chose wisely, I guess is another way to look at it. It wasn't just, I didn't just stumble into it, but spending that time at the end of the year. And I will tell you, the best thing that I've ever done for my mental health on the program and because I've been doing this show for 25 years. And I will say that the number one thing that I did was deciding to take the time off there at the end of the year, that Christmas time. And I've been doing that for, well, it's been going on 15 years, close to 15 years that I've been doing that, where I just take that time off, because again, if you're trying to do talk radio, and you can listen to this on the national shows. The national shows, if you listen to them as they get closer and closer to Christmas, and especially after Christmas going into New Year, there's nothing happening. They're all, either filler, sometimes they're guest hosts, sometimes they're best ofs, whatever it is. It's a challenge because they just don't. There's nothing happening. So that's the best thing that that was the best thing. Now my son has chosen to become a firefighter. And that's interesting because he won't have control over his schedule, so to speak. And he'll have to make some adjustments for that. But the rest of my family is, we're into that Christmas and holiday spirit thing and spending the time with the fam and just enjoying it. We were sitting down the other night and we all sat down and watched some Christmas stuff and we chatted and talked and that's the things we remember. That's the things that we're going to remember. And that's the important things. And that's why I like to spend this last week or so talking about things that bring us joy. I really enjoyed yesterday's show. In fact, I was going back and I was editing down yesterday's show for videos yesterday. There was a few clips that I wanted to be very specific, so I clipped them out and I put them together, and I just really enjoyed talking about those things that give us the memories and bring us bring us that joy. I really enjoyed that. So we're going to keep rolling through that here this morning. Now, Chris Story is going to be joining us here early. He's going to be taking an early segment with us. So he's going to be in both number 2 and number 3 of today's show. And I don't know which order he's going to be doing it in because Chris and I would just kind of, we fly by the seat of our pants. He could be doing his PMA segment first and then his Christmas memories. That would be great because then we'd be positivity and we'll do that. But then he'll do one segment on PMA and one segment on Christmas, memories or the greatness or Christmas positivity or something, whatever it is. We're just going to chat. We're just going to riff. Now on tomorrow's program, joining us in hour 2, we're going to be joined by Rod Pyle, who is an author. You can find him at rodpylebooks.com. And he has worked for JPL and NASA. He's been a consultant for the History Channel. He's in the top 100 of who's who in the space industry as far as authors and things like that. He's just a great guy. I used to have Rod on all the time back when my show was on the air strictly in Anchorage. And I love that. I just love the idea of space, the final frontier. I've always been kind of a space nerd. And so tomorrow we're going to get a chance to talk with Rod and just kind of get an update on what's going. Pyle is Pyle, right? Sorry, Rod Pyle, Pyle, rodpylebooks.com. If you want to find out, he's got a great book called Blueprints for a Battle Star, where he talks about, fictional ships like the Death Star, what it would take to build the Death Star. It was a fascinating read. It was a great read, and all different other kinds of books as well on space and exploration and the whole system. And so anyway, he's going to be with us in hour 1 tomorrow, or in hour 2. In hour 1, I don't know what we're going to do. Maybe we'll just open up the phone lines and ask you guys to share some Christmas memories. I don't know. On Thursday, we're going to be talking about Christmas music, and maybe we'll bring on a few guests. I'm working on trying to bring on a few guests to just share some Christmas thoughts or ideas or memory. I don't know. I just, you know what? It doesn't matter. We'll be hanging out. We'll just be sharing. And then on Friday, we might do a little, I know that I have a hard and fast rule that on Friday we're talking about guns, right? But there's so many ramifications to, there's just so many ramifications to firearms and the legals and the politics, and I don't know. But I know that Chris Chang is going to be joining us. Top Shot champion Chris Chang is going to be joining us at the top of hour 1. And we're going to talk with him about his Christmas memories and everything else, and maybe a little bit of, whatever. And then we're going to finish up with Willie Waffle, and Willie is bringing the holiday movie Heat on Friday. So that's going to be fun. We'll talk about some of the local stuff, but we'll also talk about his holiday memories, and it should be great. All right. That's, I think, again, I'm on vacation starting on Monday. Monday will be on hiatus all the way through to the 5th of January is our first new broadcast day. And don't forget, the holiday recipe contest is also up. Let me go over there and let's do some honorable mentions. Let's talk about some of the recipes that are up there. My wife's rum cake is up there, which if you haven't had yet is amazing. It's amazing. It lasts the first one lasted about 3 hours this year. I went back out and I was like, I wanted another piece of cake, and it's all gone. I mean, that's, the other one lasted a day and a half maybe, and that was it. My wife's also got her Secret Kiss cookies up there. Brian has put up not necessarily a Christmas recipe, the one that he associates with Christmas, and it is a pozole dish. So you can check that out. Layla has got a world's easiest roasted turkey recipe. Josh has put up the pretzel Rolo treat, which is absolutely delicious. Corey has got monkey balls, which is it's a cinnamon brown sugar. Oh, man, it is so good. Chris has got a broccoli casserole. Amy's got a different take on the green bean casserole. Frank has put up his turkey stuffing balls. Tyler has posted his great grandmother's bread pudding. It's similar to my grandmother's, although my grandma's got some extra stuff in it. Sherry's got a peach custard in there as well. Portuguese beans, divinity candy. The Melody put up the Kleina. Did I say that right? Kleina. Anyway, it's a delicious Swedish, Norwegian, Finnish. It's a Michigan thing, right? The old Swedes there. And then Lisa James got gingerbread muffins, turmeric teas, sourdough bread, dinner rolls, and cheesecake. She put up a handful of recipes, which was super nice of her to put up a different ones. What she got, like the fresh sourdough, organic flour, water. Sounds good. It's all good. I'm all ready to check them all out. So a bunch of new recipes up on the recipe contest page. Now you should go look at them. You should go look at the recipes and then steal all the recipes. That's the first reason why I put this whole contest together back in the day. And then the ones that you truly think sound good, or maybe you even bake them or cook them and try them out, make sure you give them a like, because on Friday, I'm going to pick a winner. On Friday, there's going to be a winner of the recipe contest, and whichever one's got the most likes, except for Terry or my posts, whichever one's got the most likes is going to win a 6 o'clock club mug, which is a mug with my beard on it and the show and the 6 o'clock club thing. You're an official member of the 6 o'clock club, and you can go check it out. So anyway, if you do nothing else, even if you don't post a recipe, at least go steal a few recipes and then like as many recipes as you want. And whoever has the most likes, who's ahead right now? It looks like, I'm scrolling through real quick. It looks like it's a tie right now between Chris and Amy. They've got some likes on there as well. Frank's not far behind, but they need some more likes. So go over to facebook.com/Michael Duke Show /live. Excuse me, take the live off. Facebook.com/Michael Duke Show. And you can click it. It's right there at the top of the page. You can see it says holiday recipe contest shows a big holiday spread. And just go check them all out. And, we'll do it. I'm not going to make everything before Friday to know what's best, but we're going to, eggnog pie. Somebody just said in the chat room, I'm a sucker for egg. Can I sidebar for just, I know we got to go to Chris here in just a minute, but I wanted to sidebar real quick. You know how over the years I've talked about my love of Matanuska made eggnog? Like that was the ultimate eggnog. And I'm so sad that we can't find it anymore. And, I literally one year I spent about 3 or 4 hours trying to track down somebody who used to work at Matt Made to see if I could get the recipe. That's how much I loved that eggnog. I will tell you that I found a close replace. It's not quite there, but it's the closest that I've ever seen. And it is Alaska Range Dairy. They're out of Delta, apparently. Alaska Range Dairy, and they make an eggnog. It is amazing. It's the best eggnog currently, in my mind, on the market. It's a little pricey, but it is definitely worth it. And I found it at Three Bears. I don't know who else carries it. I don't know if your local grocery store carries Alaska Range Dairy products. They have milk and whatever, but their eggnog is amazing. So that's my recommendation for this year is if you like eggnog, go find yourself some Alaska Range Dairy eggnog. I don't drink milk throughout the year. That's my thing, but eggnog, man, that is the way to go. All right. And yes, you're supporting your local farmers. So it's delicious. I can't wait. All right, my friends, we got to go. We got more coming up. Chris Story is going to be joining us in just a moment. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio, Christmas radio. We'll be back after this.
Michael Duke Show. Gravy for the brain.
Okay. All right. Loving it. All right, what do we got here? Let me gotta get on my poop in a group here. I see Chris has now joined us in the green room. We're going to be jumping on with him here in just a second. Let's get things. Let's check it out. We'll do that. Hello, Mr. Story. How are you, my friend? How you doing?
Good morning. Merry Christmas. How are you?
I'm feeling okay. I'm very Christmassy. Nice. I don't know if you're watching the video or anything, but I decorated the studio, and I
see that.
I feel pretty good. I feel it's.
I kind of thought a Santa hat would have been appropriate this week for you, but hey, you got to do you.
I know. Well, first of all, I have a fat head. Okay, so I can't just go down to the store and buy like a regular Santa hat because then it looks like a little beanie on top of my head. I had this really nice Santa hat, but it was in a dark velvety green. And I don't know what happened to it. When we moved, I can't find it anywhere. I don't know what happened. I'm gonna have to get another one.
So hold on. Just need to correct the record here. When you have, it's not a Santa hat. What you had was an elf hat. That would be green.
I guess
I hate to tell you.
I guess you could argue that it would be an elf hat, although I have seen green Santa Claus suits over the years, which I think are pretty cool. Because I just love that dark emerald kind of velvety green. But yeah, you do you, man. I mean, whatever, a holiday hat, Santa hat, elf hat, I'll wear it, whatever it is. If it looks good, that's what it's all about. somebody said I should wrap Christmas lights in my headphones, because I got my headphones on. I can't wear a hat with my headphones, but who knows? There's still a couple days left this week. It'll be fantastic. All right, so we going to do PMA first and then on to Christmas memories, or what are we going to do?
Hey, you got it. It's your show. You tell me, buddy.
Okay. So what are we?
Have you seen, while we're just here, just you and me and nobody else, have you seen, and maybe I asked you this already, Violent Night, the Christmas movie?
I have. I watched that last
something else,
year.
isn't it?
That is quite the movie, man. It is quite the. It's pretty funny. It really is kind of funny. It's definitely on my going to watch list again for this year. The one that I haven't seen is the one where Mel Gibson plays Santa Claus who has to go to work for the military. Batman. I haven't watched that one yet, but it's on my potential watch list this year as well. But yeah, I mean, I watched Violent Night and I had to laugh. I laughed hard. Did you watch Red One last year? The new with The Rock and Jason. That one's pretty funny too. That's a pretty good one. That's a pretty fun movie as well. But yeah, Violent Night was something else. Did you enjoy that? I take it.
It's heartwarming, believe it or not. I mean, it actually, it's as you say, it's funny. It's incredibly violent. It's graphically violent. But I think one of the producers said that you've never seen. I mean, every Christmas decoration used as a deadly weapon. I mean, it was like it was pretty well done.
Yeah, no, I thought it was well done. It was really, it's just a different take on the Christmas season for sure. So definitely on my to watch list for this year as well. What other movies do you watch? Do you have a tradition where there's certain movies that you must watch on the holidays?
Yeah, Christmas Vacation, obviously. We started watching a few years ago, Tiff and I, older movies like It's a Wonderful Life, which I'd never watched all the way through, and then realized, oh, that's actually a really good movie. It's actually pretty great. And things like that. But, Four Christmases gotten added to the list over the years, and other, of course, and then more traditional things too. But,
right.
Yeah, Violent Night, I figured you must love that movie.
Do you watch, have you watched, yes, does Chris have his own podcast or show? We've only been talking about that for 10 years. Chris has his own show Tuesdays and Thursdays and a podcast available on ilovehomeralaska.com. Sorry, I'm running out of time here. Have you watched Holiday Inn or White Christmas?
I tried to watch White Christmas, too much singing and dancing. Haven't seen Holiday Inn though. I have to check that out. Is that an older one?
Yeah, also singing and dancing, but amazing.
Wow.
You should go watch it.
All right. I will try that on your recommendation.
Here we go. Okay. We are ready. Let me, I got to fix this here. There we go. That's a little better. Is it even better, bigger? No, medium. All right, welcome back. The Michael Duke Show. Chris Story normally comes on at the end of the show on Tuesdays, but I asked him to come on a little earlier today because I want him to share some Christmas memories. We were just talking about favorite Christmas movies. He and I have come to the conclusion that Violent Night definitely needs to go on the... I mean, it just sounds wrong when you're like, one of my favorite Christmas movies is Violent Night. But it is great. And Chris, he just admitted he's never seen Holiday Inn, and he hasn't made it through White Christmas because it's got singing and dancing. Why do you hate fun, Chris? I mean, come on.
I'm telling you, I know I want to like that stuff, but there's something about the combination. I can handle the overacting because, of course, they came from the stage before the film. I get it. They were overacting. But when you combine the singing and dancing and the smiling, and I'm sorry, there's just something about it that I just couldn't sit through. But I will try Holiday Inn on your recommendation because we do have a lot in common. So yeah. I'll take your word for that.
Well, I will say Holiday Inn has more singing and dancing than White Christmas.
Why do you do this? I can't.
And White Christmas... But White Christmas, I cry every time at the end of White Christmas. I have a tear in my eye at the end of White Christmas. You should watch that all the way through. Just choke your way through it. It's pretty good. All right. Well, Chris is going to talk with us today. We're going to do our PMA segment, and then we're going to get into some Christmas memories. We'll go through. So, what are we learning today? What's our final positivity point for the year going to be like, Chris? What are we dealing with?
Well, you mentioned in the break there a moment ago about 10 years. I think we've actually been doing this closer to 12 years. But that said, I thought just looking at 2025, if we had to, synopsize and put in one simple summary, what is it that you and I talk about every Tuesday? What is it we come here together and what do we most have in common where we don't debate or dispute with each other like on certain days we do, which is fun. But what is it? What is the common thread and the through line? And it probably actually goes through all 12 years, but it would be mastering your mindset, in my opinion. It just, if you can master your mindset and your outlook, your overall life will improve, period. You could package that into a book, a seminar, a course, coaching. You could put that in any term you want. Ultimately, if you can master your own mindset and how you look at the world and how you interact with the world and the thoughts you are able to control in your own mind versus letting circumstances run your day and your life and your emotions run away with what you say, type, and do all day. It's by type, I mean into the internet. Michael, there's something called social media. I'll explain it to you later. But a lot of people just type stuff into it and don't think before they do, or we don't necessarily think before we speak. And we're all guilty of it. And everything I come here and talk with you about is something that I am working on mastering in my own life. So to say all of this would be summarized for the whole year, mastering mindset. If you can do that, you will have a much better life.
It's interesting because we look at this from different, we're different people. I know people find that hard to believe that you and I are different people, but we look at this from a different point of view and a different perspective. If you ask me to look back on the 10 or 12 years that we've been doing this show together and look at the one thing, what would be the common thread that I would pick out? While I agree with what you're saying is that mastery is one of the key parts of it. To me, it's self-analysis. Right? It's having the courage to look inwards at yourself. And that's the hardest thing for a lot of people. I think for every person at some point, but for a lot of people, it's hard to have a quiet moment to yourself. And actually, a lot of people don't like to be sitting peace and quiet and have the self introspection because it scares them. Right? But I think that's where, to me, whenever I ask you to break it down Barney style and talk to me like I'm a fifth grade, well, you already do. Anyway, to talk a bit to me about, it always seems to start with look within and look at what you want, look at what you're doing, look at where things are going. It's always that introspection. And that's a hard skill for a lot of folks. I mean, I've struggled with it over the years to master, to look inward and then make that decision and master the mindset through there. That's what I would have seen through there.
Yeah, okay, and I see those as the same two sides of the same coin. That if you can if you can self-regulate and do the self-analysis you just described, I think that is the step into or towards mastery of your own mindset. And I've been learning a little bit about L. Frank Baum, the author of the Wizard of Oz series of books. There was 14 of those books. I didn't realize that. I just assumed there was one, and they made a movie about it. But in fact, there was 14 in his series, 40 overall, because a bunch of people carried on the tradition after he died. But he himself wrote 14, and he was a complete failure at at everything he tried. He was a failure until he was about 42 years of age, and then decided to write a children's book. He told stories when he would get back from selling on the road. He would tell his kids stories, and he lived in Chicago. And the neighborhood kids would gather around to hear him telling stories from the porch steps. And his mother-in-law said one day to him, "You're a darn fool if you don't write one of these down, or some of these down, these stories." And so he did. And the first one was called Mother Goose. The second one was called Father Goose. And then he wrote a series called The Wizard of Oz, and that his life changed and took off, and he's still being discussed over 100 years later. And so, but it's that he never lost the mindset of an imaginative. Somebody described him as basically having the mindset of an 8-year-old and the imagination of an 8-year-old his entire life. He never lost the mindset of purpose and that he was here to do something. And so going from failure to failure and being able to continue to push through, I think requires, yes, the self-analysis you described, but also a mastery of your mindset such that you can face these obstacles, hurdles, and continue to keep running. You can fall down, but if you ever watch somebody run the hurdles, I don't get it. I think I would steer off the track the first hurdle that I approach, like, no, I'm not jumping over that. But I think the people that fall in between are the most impressive, that keep going and they get back up and they run again and again and continue to either trip or continue to master that hurdle. And I think that's what essentially life is, going from hurdle to hurdle with the right mindset. You're going to carry on and I think live the good life.
Encapsulate for me. We got about 3 minutes here. Encapsulate for me what you consider to be, and I know every person's different, so I'm asking you to generalize the perfect mindset. If you have, if you analyze yourself and you look at things and everything else, what is in your mind the perfect mindset that people need to put into themselves?
Here's what I think I would answer that is Wayne Dyer encapsulated as saying living in the gap, in GAP. And so he was actually synthesizing work by everybody from Viktor Frankl to Stephen Covey, that in between stimulus and response, there is a gap. And when you are present in that gap, you control the outcome. Jack Canfield called that little equation E plus R equals O. Event plus response equals outcome. So living in the gap in between where the stimulus occurs and you respond to it, when you're present and you have a conscious mindset in between those two things, the outcome will always be better. And I'm living proof of that in both ways in my own mind, where I am conscious and in the gap. And then when I'm not, when I allow there to be no space between the event and the response, I almost always regret it. Almost always wish why did I say that? Why didn't I take a beat? Why didn't I think about it? Why wasn't I conscious in the moment in between that event and how I responded to it? But
Right.
that in and of itself is a mindset, and it allows you to be very in control to the extent you can of what not happens to you, but how you respond to it.
Right. So you heard it here first, folks. Chris Story has delayed intelligence, okay? Because he just, he just talks.
Please, on a good day.
Yeah, on a good day. But you're right. I mean, we've talked about it many times. We can't. Well, we can control circumstances in certain ways, but that's like the deeper. That's like the college level PMA. But there are circumstances in our lives that we can't control. The only thing that we can control, and this goes back to mindset, is our reaction to those circumstances. Somebody cuts you off in traffic. Okay. Somebody, insults you at the grocery store, cuts in line. Okay. What's your reaction? Somebody crashes into your car. What's your you can only control one thing, and that is your reaction to the things that happen around you. And that's where your power is.
Yep. Living in the gap. And some things, to your other point, are totally in your control. Like, for example, the fact that I didn't graduate high school, got a GED, was totally my responsibility, or irresponsibility as it was, and my fault, my circumstance created by me. And yet I hid from that for a long, long time. And I felt embarrassed and ashamed of it. And it wasn't until later in life that I realized, wait a minute, no, I'm not ashamed of that. I'm grateful for the opportunity to have been a little on my back foot to begin with, and then progressed forward and with a mindset of overcoming that and then embracing it. In fact, I wrote about it in my my book, The Backyard Millionaire, because I just thought, you know what? I'm going to tell the world. I do not care. I am in control of my response to the events that I created, and that is my outcome now, and I'm grateful for that.
All right. So mindset, self-analysis and mindset, and living in the gap. That's our PMA for the year. Think about that over the Christmas season. You get into a quiet, sit down in a chair, turn off all the noise, put away social media, and think about what your year is going to look like. Think about what you've done this year, what you've done up to this point, and then change your mindset. That's what we need to do, and live in that gap of circumstance and reaction, and know what it's all about. Chris Story is our guest. We're going to continue with him in just a moment. The Michael Duke Show. Merry Christmas.
If you missed the show, you can listen to it on your time with Dukes on Demand. Oh, and it's free. Like America used to be. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay, Chris Story is our guest. We're ready to go. I just remembered something. Totally forgot about this other stuff. So, Chris, what are we doing? Holiday memories? We talking about movies? We talking about music? What are we talking about? And then you tell me, you guide me, my friend. What are we talking about?
That's a good question. I just assumed you would rapid fire all of the above. We'll just take this wherever. Michael, it's like you and I are stepping out onto the dance floor, and I'll just try not to step on your toes.
I'm pulling up the. I just realized that I forgot. That I have a bunch of Christmas liners that I haven't played. I totally forgot I had.
Marty was pumped for Christmas.
Woo, I'm pumped for Christmas. Ow!
So Marty just bought himself everything he wanted.
Yeah.
Because Marty has no friends.
That turned dark. It's the Michael Dukes Show.
That's a good one. That did turn dark quickly. That's pretty good.
It turns, this is when Eric was my producer, and he had a little bit of a dark sense of humor, which I love. Don't get me wrong, but sometimes it was like
it's the Michael Dukes Show.
Oh, it's a magical Christmas time again. Your kids are counting on you.
Yeah, Dad.
Now, if only someone would do something for you.
Honey, headache. Oh. Streaming live every weekday morning, 6 to 9 a.m. on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Oh man. Anyway, it's fun stuff. We'll be using these for the rest of the week. I totally forgot about these until just now. I don't know why, but all right. Well, we'll talk about all that. What's your favorite? I didn't see you, by the way, at the Christmas tree lighting. What are you, a Grinch? You just like no Christmas trees for you? I mean, what's going on?
You're talking about down at the Homer Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah.
Oh, I was there. No, I was there. I was in costume. You ignored me the entire night. I was there.
Is that it? I just totally forgot. I just totally missed you. Sorry. I played the derelict that kept asking you for money, and you kept saying not. Oh, that guy. Yeah, the guy that peed on my leg. Yeah, no, that guy. Okay, I know.
That's right. Yeah,
the guy that peed on my leg and did all that. Yeah, I remember that guy. Okay, so good job, good costume, by the way. Totally authentic.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a family tradition.
It's a family tradition that we dress up like a bum and pee on people on the thing. It's all good. What else? What's your favorite thing about Homer during the holidays? What's your favorite thing about living down here during the holiday season?
You know what's interesting is not having to travel somewhere. One of my favorite movies, I forgot to tell you, is Trains, Planes, and Automobiles, which is more of a Thanksgiving movie, but at the same time, it is a Christmas movie in some sense. But just that idea of traveling somewhere, I've never traveled around the holidays ever. Like I've always been in, and some people, you might think, oh, that's really sad. You've never gone anywhere else for Christmas. But the reality is, it's when you're in paradise, like, why would you need to go anywhere? And never having had to fight the traffic or worry about how many people you hear all the radio ads about, how many people are going to be, the news on how many people are going to be on the road today. There's going to be, this will be the biggest travel year of, the century and all that. I just, never traveled on or around the holidays. And so that's one of my favorite things is to be tucked into this hamlet by the sea.
Nice. You know what, my new because now I've spent 2 Christmases. This will be my second Christmas in Homer. The first one really doesn't count because I quite honestly wasn't paying attention to anything except for standing up 4 radio stations and doing all that. I mean, I was like, this is like my first Christmas here. But one thing that I do appreciate about Christmas in Homer is that it's not 4 million below. Okay. I gotta say that to my friends in Fairbanks, my friends up there in Wasilla. It's nice down here. It's It's not. I don't want to tell you all that so you all come down here, but it's nice down here. I mean, it's, and of course the wind has been blowing the last few days, but other than that, and last year we got, I don't know what it was, 3.5 feet of snow in 2 days, between Christmas and between Thanksgiving and Christmas. But other than that, it's been nice. It's just beautiful. So that's what I appreciate about. You know what I found weird about Homer though? Homer doesn't have like big Christmas decorations that they put on Main Street on Pioneer Avenue or anything. It's like I thought that was kind of weird because most places have got something that goes up, around Christmas, and they've just never done that here. I found that to be a little weird.
Well, what we've always had in the past on the light poles, and I haven't noticed if the city put them up this year or not, but they always had Christmas decorations, banners that they'd put on the light poles.
Right, right.
And maybe they haven't done it this year.
Maybe they haven't done it. I'll have to go look. Maybe I just missed it. But I don't know. I'm feeling so Christmassy right now. It would make you sick. I'm just going to gag you with a candy cane. That's how I feel right now. All right, well, let's go back.
It feels like Violent Night.
Violent Night. The Michael Duke Show, Common Sense Radio. Here we go.
It's the Michael Dukes Show.
Oh, yeah. Feeling this holiday thing. Give me some nog.
You can fake your holiday spirit, or you can just try to find it for real. Happy holidays. Good luck with that. Streaming live every weekday morning, 6 to 9 a.m. on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I found my Christmas liners. I totally forgot about it. that. So I'm going to pull those out. We'll be using those for the rest of the week. Chris, they're very snarky and sarcastic. Thank you, Eric. Chris Story joins us. We just finished up our PMA segment, and now we're going to talk a little bit about Christmas memories. So we were just talking about good stuff. What's your biggest Christmas memory, Chris? I mean, the one that sticks out from holidays as you were growing up, either as a kid or as a teenager, young adult, married couple. What's the biggest Christmas thing you remember growing up? A good memory. Give me some good stuff here.
Well, what's interesting is, so my grandparents moved to Alaska in 1947, moved to Homer in the early 50s, and they, at around 48 or 49, had bought 160 acres out East End Road. They'd bought two brothers out of their family's homestead and paid a very, very, very high price of $10,000 for those 160 acres on East End Bench overlooking the glaciers and the mountains of the Spit. And it was a real rip-off. But so that's where I grew up. And so my grandparents lived at the top of the hill. We lived on 3 acres just below them. My aunt and uncle and cousins lived on 3 acres just to the east of us. And
Wait.
Triangle.
So Chris Story lived on a family compound? What? I mean,
let me tell you something. We could see dust at the bottom of the road. So we knew you were coming before you got anywhere close to the property. Absolutely. So yes, it was a compound. We met you with shotguns and hogs and dogs. And so we just lived on this like magical, amazing place. And so I never took it for granted as a kid. I did wish sometimes that we lived closer to town so I could walk to town with my friends and do things like that. But we had this amazing place. And so we always had the tradition of Christmas Eve at my grandparents' house where we all exchanged gifts. And then the next morning they would all walk to our house for a special breakfast my mother would make. And then we would have turkey dinner and ham and all that at my house that evening. And so it was always kind of just this trifecta of family. And that's all it was just family together. And to me, that was something we've always tried to recreate. Now that we don't live on the family compound, as you so elegantly put it, but we all live in the same community, in the same town here in Homer. So we do the same things, just it takes a little bit of a drive to get to each other than it used to. We used to walk there. One day I got, for Christmas, I got a snow machine. I got a little John Deere Spitfire. And I think I was about 7 or 8. And so I drove it up from my house to my grandparents' house for Christmas Eve. And that night we were all leaving, and I said to my mom, I'll give you a ride home. Get on my new snow machine. And she's like, okay. And as a good mother would. And so she gets on, and I just punch it. And what I didn't realize is that we'd gotten a little bit of ice, and I flipped the machine about halfway down. to our house, which was not, I mean, you could see it from one house to the other. So it wasn't very far away. And I managed to flip it, throw my mother from the snow machine. And my dad comes running down, hits the same patch of ice, falls on his back. My grandfather sees all this and he comes a running. And I don't have to finish the story. You know what he did. Yeah, he fell too. And I just felt horrible that I had caused all this as I kind of limped the machine home. My brand new snow machine I just flipped and caused 3 head injuries.
This explains a lot about Chris' story.
But you should know, I was the only one wearing a helmet, and I was just fine.
And you were just fine, and it was just fine. But we all
psychologically
probably
not so.
Yeah, you all just laugh at this now, though, because it's a memory, right? It's a memory that you remember from way back then. When I was a kid growing up, we would always go to there was 3 main siblings in Fairbanks: my grandparents, and then my mom, and then her brother and her sister. And so we would always go to one of the siblings' houses for Christmas Day Eve. So we would, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day morning was all for us, the immediate family. And then in the evening, in the afternoon, we'd go over to the family's house, and we'd always have a good time. And I remember the sledding at our house and at my mom's brother's house. They had big, long driveways, and we would sled all the way down the driveways, and then somebody'd get a truck and they'd run us back up, and we'd back and forth for, an hour and a half or something running these things. It's just so much fun. So much, until somebody slid underneath the truck one time because they were going too fast and they slid under the truck. But, it's always fun. We were talking about movies. Violent Night, you said was a good one. I'm trying to convince you to watch White Christmas, because when you get to the end, the payoff is worth it. It's definitely, if you've never seen it all the way to the end. I can't believe you don't like musicals. That blows my mind. The kind of guy you are. I figured you'd love musicals, Chris. I figured it'd be your thing.
Yeah.
And track lighting, musicals and track lighting are definitely, Chris. My wife said that to me when we were first dating. She said, "I don't know about you. You like musicals and track lighting. Are you sure you want to date me?" And I was just like, wow. Way to keyhole somebody on that kind of stuff. But what are some of your favorite other movies that you like? You liked Christmas Vacation, you said. What else? What is the one that Christmas Story? Do you watch that one?
Oh yeah, love that's that's a classic family tradition. Love that one. And I just put one on the other night. Tiffany was in the kitchen baking cookies, and I'm out in the living room, and I just put on Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and
Oh my God.
what's the other guy's name?
Sinbad.
Yeah, and Phil Hartman. Phil Hartman me steals the show. I love Phil Hartman.
And Jim
I put that on.
Jim Belushi is the
Yeah, Tiffany goes, "We just watched this the other day." And I said, "Well, we didn't finish it. I'm just finishing it." It bugs her. She does not like that one, but I love that one. And I was telling you in the break there, Trains, Planes, and Automobiles, I think is one of the most holiday heartwarming movies of all time with John Candy. I'm a big sucker for John Candy. I loved his movies growing up. But
yeah,
that's a fun one.
That's kind of, and like you said, that's kind of a Thanksgiving movie, but it's still kind of fun for the holidays. And of course, coming up this Sunday at the Porcupine, the radio station is sponsoring a showing of one of our family's favorite all-time Christmas movies, and that is A Muppet Christmas Carol. Have you ever seen that, Chris?
I don't believe so. So Sunday we could just come and you're paying.
Hey, for you, I've got a pair of tickets. Everybody else is paying, but Chris Story, it will be my treat if you and Tiffany show up and come watch A Muppet Christmas Carol. It is so much fun, man. It is so much fun. You'll have to come watch it. It is it's a tradition, out there as well. And of course, It's a Wonderful Life. You said you hadn't seen It's a Wonderful Life until you were an adult.
Oh yeah, it was just a few years ago. I mean, obviously, it was always on the television around Christmas time when CBS or whoever would play it. But I just never could sit through it. It was like, oh, this just drove me nuts. But because I loved Rear Window as a kid, like I was about 10 or 11 when I first watched Rear Window, so I assumed I would love this movie too. And it's like, No, I didn't understand it. It was a few years ago, Tiffany and I decided to start watching older movies to include It's a Wonderful Life. And John David Mann, New York Times bestselling author, compared my book, Born to Live, to It's a Wonderful Life. And I thought, well, that's interesting. I guess I should watch the movie. And so we did a few years ago, along with then Casablanca and a few other old classics. We're like, okay, these are some good movies out there. But I tried White Christmas, and I just would rather vote Democrat. Honestly, I couldn't do it.
Dude,
yeah.
You're harshing my Christmas vibe. You got to watch White Christmas.
I'll try it again.
Okay, all right. Here's your assignment. Here's your assignment. If you like to watch some older movies, and you've got to watch The Bishop's Wife with Cary Grant. Watch The Bishop's Wife. And here's the other one to put on your list, The Little Shop Around the Corner with Jimmy Stewart. Those two movies. Put those both on your list, and you'll have to report back to me. But The Bishop's Wife and Little Shop Around the Corner, both very Christmassy, both so good. Just so good. Every time I watch them, I especially The Bishop's Wife, because I'll just tell you Cary Grant plays an angel. And it is at Christmas, and David Niven is a preacher, and it's a great flick as well. All right, well, we're down to the last couple minutes here. Final Christmas thoughts for the year, Chris. What are you doing to get into the Christmas spirit? What else you got? I give you the floor. Oh, those are not musicals. Both of those shows are not musicals.
Oh, thank you. I'll watch them. Okay. We were just at dinner at my mom and dad's house about a week or so ago, and something came up about a new book that I just finished, which I'll be giving to you in January, Michael, to read and narrate. And I was describing the plot to my family a little bit, and my dad kind of just sat there quietly for a second, and then he looked at me and he goes, "What? When did you do like?" What happened? Like, why are you, why are you writing, basically something to that effect? And I said, it's your fault. They gave me for Christmas a typewriter that had one of those little tiny screen on it, so you could actually correct one sentence at a time as you wrote.
Right.
A little word processor.
Right.
And I started writing back. I was probably 12 or 13. And I just dreamed one day I'm going to write books. And so I said, it's your fault. So careful what you give your kids for Christmas, because it could come back one day.
So that machete set, I shouldn't have given that to my kids. So all good. Chris Story,
mistake.
Yeah, you are a joy, my friend. I appreciate you in so many ways. I can't express enough how happy I am to have you on the program and be part of my life. Thank you, my friend. Love you guys. Tell Tiffany I said hi. And Sunday, 1:00, will you come? Be there?
I'll do my best. Merry Christmas. Thank you. It's very generous.
Merry Christmas. Thanks.
Take care.
You just totally crushed my Christmas dreams of watching Muppet Christmas Carol with Chris Story. It does have music in it, and I'm afraid you probably would you got to do that. You got to. I'll give you tickets, Chris. I'll bribe you with tickets. Come out and do it. I'll read your book over the holidays if you come out and watch this movie with me. It'll be fun, and bring the kids, bring the girls, bring everybody. It'll be a fun time. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. All right. Deal. All right. Just tell me how many. We'll figure it out. Thank you, my friend. It's good to talk with you. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Michael. Merry Christmas.
All right. Well, that does it for me today. I just saw an interesting comment earlier from Frank. Frank said, got caught up on all my skinning. He's a tanner by trade. He said, the show makes it go faster and reminds me of the KFAR days. That's what it used to be like back in the days when I was on the air. And sometimes we just do this in the middle of the day, middle of the week. Didn't have to be Christmas. Sometimes we just riff. That is the good old KFAR days, isn't it? Maybe we'll go back to a little bit of that in the new year. That'd be fun. All right, my friends. Well, we got to go. We're going to get out of here. Call Tiffany. She'll get him to go. Yeah, I should call Tiffany. All right, my friends. Merry Christmas. Only 3 more days left of the show till vacation. Go have some fun. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Merry Christmas.
It's the Michael Dukes Show. Here's you in about 5 minutes.
Oh no, I haven't started shopping yet. Oh no!
Happy holidays. Take it easy. Streaming live every weekday morning, 6 to 9 a.m. on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.